Hi everybody, this is Ricky Lynn Gregg, and thank you for checking out this episode of the ETX Rock Show featuring the phenomenal singer-songwriter Deryl Dodd.
This is Boston Chris with another great episode of the ETX Rock Show.
Louise here.
Descript.
Featuring all genres and styles of entertainment.
And want me to call it ETX Rock.
Let's hear it from Louise, please.
From the unheralded and unheard to the legends and beyond.
Out of the box with ETX Rock.
It's awesome.
We keep them coming.
$5, that's pocket change.
Well, hey, y'all, this is Haley McDaniel. Are y'all ready for this?
ETX Rock Show is the greatest show of all time, okay?
We are ETX Rocks.
The ETX Rock Show is the best show of all time, say? The other shows, you're good, you're real good. As long as we're around, you'll be second best, say?
Cut.
From the great state of Texas, this is the latest episode of the ETX Rock Show. Nestled in the piney woods of East Texas, the ETX Rock Show delivers the stories and songs of talented artists of all genres, all styles, from the unheralded and unheard to the legends and beyond. We bring a passion for music and a drive to go behind the curtain with our guests. We focus on all artists, from LA to New York, Nashville down to Texas, and everywhere in between. ETX is our location, not a limitation. Now, as always, it's viewers and listeners like you out there that are our biggest support for the show. If you want to contribute to the show, please do so by donating to www.paypal.me/ETXRocks. And we thank you for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the 208th episode of the show. We are beyond excited to tell you who this week's guest is. 2017 is his 30th year in the music business. In 1991, he headed to Nashville on the advice from renowned songwriter Dean Dillon and quickly made experiences playing in Martina McBride and Tracy Lawrence's band. But his dream all along was to become a successful recording artist in his own right. In 1996, his debut album, One Ride in Vegas, was released. Since then, he has released 8 more albums, 10 top 100 national charting singles, and multiple #1 hits in the state of Texas. The name Deryl Dodd is synonymous with the Texas country music scene, as he is one of the guys who helped create a burgeoning, flourishing music community in the Lone Star State. His new album, Long Hard Ride, is not your everyday greatest hits record. Yes, it has most of the songs that all of you out there know by heart included. But Deryl went a step further in including 14 of the biggest Texas artists around, as Cody Jinks, Wade Bowen, William Clark Green, Randy Rogers, Stoney LaRue, Matt Hillyer, Radney Foster, Roger Creager, Kevin Fowler, Bonnie Bishop, Larry Joe Taylor, Dave Perez, Cody Johnson, and Pat Green all make an appearance. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited to bring you guys this episode of the ETX Rock Show with the one and only Deryl Dodd. Now, Deryl has also sent in a couple of acoustic song performances, including his latest #1 Texas hit, which is called One Ride in Vegas. Now, of course, this hit for him is a duet with Cody Johnson, and we definitely implore everybody out there to please request this song to your local radio stations. And without further ado, here is One Ride in Vegas.
Hey everybody, this is Deryl Dodd, and I'd like to play a song for you that I wrote with my good friend Mr. Brett Beavers. And I'm very honored that Mr. Cody Johnson sang on this song with me, like a duet. And thank you so much, Cody, for singing on this song. It went #1 in Texas just now, and it's called One Ride in Vegas. Packed up his boots and his saddle. He's 17, heading out on his own. He'll rodeo from Cheyenne to Texas, dreaming of one ride in Vegas, one ride in Vegas. Lonely nights and rundown motel rooms and aching bones from yesterday's ride. It's taken more than he thought he could give it, but he's holding on never will let him give up. But with the fire in his eyes, he dances with thunder till one day his day finally comes. His heart beats fast with anticipation, brighter lights than the kid had ever seen before. He's waited his whole life for the next 8 seconds, and he'd do it all again for one ride in Vegas. This one ride in Vegas. Well, he's an old man now, but he's 4-time world champion, a modern day legend, and every cowboy knows his name. He's all settled down on his big ranch in Texas, but he traded all today for one ride in Vegas, one more ride in Vegas.
Hey guys, this is Louise with the ETX Rock Show. Are you looking for a high-energy rock band for your club or party? Well, look no further than our friends from the band Eastgate. Eastgate is ready to perform wherever you need them. With original material and their own unique spin on carefully selected cover tunes, Eastgate brings an awesome experience for up to a 4-hour set. Book them at www.eastgaterockband.com. Again, that's www.eastgaterockband.com.
Hey everyone, we are the band Eastgate. We are your hard rock band for East Texas.
All right, guys. So we've got Deryl Dodd on the phone. Now, Deryl is, in my view, a Texas legend. I don't know if you saw a post I made on Facebook this morning. Your song, well, I guess it's not technically your song. That's How I Got to Memphis. It was a Tom T. Hall song, but your version of that song is what made me love country music in 1996. My dad was a huge traditional country fan, and I guess as a teenager I kind of rebelled against that. So I was into like pop music and R&B and all that stuff. And then I heard your song come on the radio, and I was just an instant fan of country music. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, wow. Well, that's really cool, and you're very welcome.
And I'll be honest, man, it's just that steel guitar right at the beginning, just wailing in that song. And
yeah.
It's just a great song, and kind of, I guess, puts you on the map early in your career.
Yeah, it did. For sure.
So I guess my first question, I know you're a great songwriter, but that being a cover song, how do you as an artist choose which cover songs to release on albums?
You know, I can start off by saying most things, 98% of things that happen with me are sort of that intangible. It just kind of shows itself to me that this is the one I need to do. You know, I don't sit down and look at everything real sort of calculative or something. It's in my heart, I guess. It may sound corny, but it's how I operate pretty much everything. But, you know, it may, like that song, I was, well, actually it was Sundown, was a song I had been playing a little bit and heard on the radio right before I recorded my second album. You know, it came on the radio and it just hit me. I was like, and I was going in to record that day. I'm recording that song. I just knew it. So it wasn't like I had all this time and went back and forth and asked people what they thought. It was just kind of a in the moment kind of thing. But my instincts, the thing is at that point, or the point when I was making records or started my first record, I've been playing for a long time, and I'm a real thinker, and a real inside heart, soul kind of guy, and the way I process things. And even if I wrote it or if it's a cover or whatever, I have my own sort of filter of, I don't know if the song is right for me. I don't know if the song is even something people are going to like, or if it, it's got to like be, oh man, this feels right. This feels good and it's right, and I'm going with it. And that's how I choose those things and luckily, and when you choose a song out of that in that way, and then you get good feedback, then you trust your instincts even more. So that's kind of, I guess, luckily I've had that. I guess you call it a gift. But I think in those ways, and when it comes to songs and material, it's got to make me move, or I won't even, you won't get past the page, to even finish writing it or whatever. But
right,
and there's times in your studio with some things you think work, and then they just don't, and then those are instincts also to say, I thought it would, but it's just not. It's not, and that's like things. It didn't just come kind of with an ease. You got to work a little bit with some things. Some things you can offer a little suggestion that turns everything another way, but if it doesn't just flow, then maybe it means it's just not going to work.
Well, I know there's going to be a lot of strategy involved with choosing songs that you didn't write, because you do have to connect with your audience and make it sound like it's a song you wrote. And
right.
I know a lot of artists are, it's kind of a two-part thing. One, they want to pay homage to whoever it is that they're covering, but at the same time, you have to kind of have that picture of yourself performing the song, like even before you've done that. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I've always, I guess I was lucky in the fact that when I was younger too, I just gravitated to artists or musicians that were older than me because I liked their wisdom and I liked their music, to tell you the truth, because when I was coming up in the 70s, I don't know, I just like roots of anything. I like people that who they are, this is who they are, this is the music they play. They can't play 18 styles of music now. That's cool too, but when they really hone in, that's who they are. And anyway, so learning from them or listening to them gave me a lot of, to the point of what I'm trying to say here is that they say if you're gonna sing a song or record a song that you didn't write, make it your own. You got to make it your own. Change up the melody, do it the way if you wrote it, the way you would sing, and the production. That's people don't realize that.
It's all about believability, really.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. And change an instrument. Like if you hear a cover song and then it's got a really strong lead guitar in the whole song, then the way I think is take it out, and put a steel or put a keyboard or something, and I don't know, just make it, because that's the best compliment I can get when I recorded, especially someone as great as Tom T. Hall,
right,
or Gordon Lightfoot, or Buck Owens, songs I recorded, and to hear from their people and say, "Wow, we wish we'd have done it that way," or "Best cover of this song ever," and they may say that to everyone that records it, but no, it's real. That's the greatest compliment, and I've definitely not heard anyone say, you should have done this different or whatever.
And I think it's a good recipe too. You've recorded, I think, 9 albums now, with your 9th this year, and you seem to include usually one cover song on each album. And I think it's smart and a lot of times you'll put that cover song like in the first 2 or 3 tracks of the album too. I think it's pretty cool that you do that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of music, so
right.
And I'm not all about just shoving my songs down people's throats. And you got to listen to my songs. I'm a songwriter, and I get that, but there's some people pretty heady about that. And I've been in song swaps before where I played a cover, and the guy that I was playing with got really not very happy with me playing a song that wasn't mine, and it wasn't one that I recorded either.
Right.
It was a Tom Petty song. But I mean, that's another thing that's very important about, or at least to say about why is that some things with me. I'm alive. It's where it all started with me, on the stage. It didn't start in the studio when I was 8 years old. I was playing live, and there's the whole thing is between me and the audience, me and the people, me and the friends or the fans or the family sitting around. What is the energy going on there? And that's, to me, the most important thing I do. And everything else sort of comes out of that, And so playing live so much and that being my thing, I record songs really according to how I feel they're going to go over live, because that's your best survey or barometer, I guess, of what the songs, how people are reacting to them. And, so that's really the way I choose. I mean, that's really the true way I choose when I play it and people react to it. And I'm like, man, they really love it, so that's why I want to record this or that. But a lot of times an album is the song list. This is your new song list for this year, or you're adding this to your song list that you already have to when you're performing live, and mix it up a little bit. Just like it's the thing too about as time goes by, people just like the horse gave way to the motor car, and things change, and people don't know about riding horses. They just know how to drive a car.
Yeah.
Well, trying to make an analogy if I don't lose my train of thought. Is that all right, that's gone.
Let me ask you this: you were talking about genres a minute ago. As an experienced artist, what do you think of the concept of labels in music today? Like, for example, Americana music has become kind of a collect-all for artists who don't fit into a certain genre. So is it important for an artist to have a genre identity, or is it just not needed to make good music today?
I think if you'd asked me that maybe 5 years ago, I might have given you a different answer. But I think, time is constantly moving forward, and the way I feel today about all the, everything's so fragmented. There used to be one Dr. Pepper, now there's 18 different kinds.
Exactly.
Zero with sugar, no caffeine. So I don't know. I just think, when I think about an individual, find what you are and what naturally is your thing, and do that. And because I've never been about make this music to fit this thing, or make this to fit to get more people interested, or more people like it if you water the song down a little bit, and more, it'll be more popular, more poppy sounding. And and I've been headstrong about that. And yeah, maybe it's cost me numbers and this and that, but that's the point. I'm not in this for numbers. So I'm in it for being true to myself. I'm not certainly wanting to just play music that only I like. I mean, of course not, but I've played long enough to know that actually I need that feedback. I need to feel that people are digging it, or I'll stop in the middle of a song if I think something's not working, because that's how important it is that I hope people are liking it. But what was that question again? Or
just is a genre identity important?
Yeah, I think I guess the way to answer that is, I think an artist needs to know who they are and know what their music is, and just do that, and I think it will find its way into whatever thing is out there in the world that it's going to fit into. And I get that, because I'm not trying to be Americana or trying to be country or trying to be rock and roll. I really do what comes natural to me. And I think once it's out, the public or these entities can go, that sounds a little bit like it could fit in this genre or this genre,
Yeah.
And you know, it's, I guess, back in the old day, or they still may call it, when it crosses over. That's actually a good thing. Especially when you genuinely write something that you weren't, you know, it was something you had to write. It was something that it came from you and from your soul and your gift that you have, and then it happens to appeal to a whole lot of people as opposed to just this one genre. That's a really cool thing, you know. But and that's the cool thing about it. I never know really what audiences are all gonna, you know, different types of people or demographics or whatever are gonna like the songs, and then it surprises me sometimes. You know, there's a song I think you know, people above 40 years old are gonna dig this song because they'll relate to it. But that's just life, you know. Everything cycles around. And there's a lot of 20-year-olds or less or younger that somehow have that philosophy or that grow up that way, and they think that deeply, and they're like, love a certain song and tell me, and I'm like, wow, it gives me hope for
the future. Yes.
The future.
Yeah.
There are people that, you know, because you know, the word cerebral, I guess, comes out. I got smart writer, or smart this and that. But I don't know how you can say the songs that. I mean, you know, like a live show. I think it's like a ride. You know, you have stuff that is fun and light and upbeat and mindless in a way. You're not having to think to, or just like the beat of it or its groove. And then there's something that's really deep that makes you think, or, you know, and then something that takes you back to a whole nother place, to where when you finish and you get off the ride, there was an experience, and there's a little bit of strategy in that, you know, like setting a set list. Like, you don't put 5 slow songs in a row, you know, when you're playing live, you mix it up. And I've listened to a lot of artists, you know, their shows, and they're 90 minutes or 2 hours, and I listened to how they would put songs in and out, and why, you know, and that's just one of those. It's just feel, and that's the thing about music. Music is a feel thing. You feel it,
yes,
or you don't, you know. And
yep.
But it's
And I wrote that in my post today on Facebook about, you know, I mentioned earlier about how you kind of reached me and brought me into country music, and it was because of that feeling. Like, that was the first time I ever felt a song, was hearing your song on the radio. And I didn't realize that was a thing. 20 years old at the time, I didn't know you were supposed to listen to a song or feel emotions from a song, you know?
Yeah. Well, I always say, you know, I don't want people to just hear my songs. I want them to feel them, you know. And I think part of that, growing up in the church and Pentecostal church, that, I mean, we got down in church, man. The music was, I mean, it was upbeat and getting after it. And
there are no snakes involved, though, right?
No snake handling. No, I always say that. Both my grandfathers were preachers, and I'll say, not the snake handling guy. But so, you know, that was in me, to where I guess when I was making my music, you know, I just emulated what I knew growing up and what I felt, that it was a feel thing, and, you know. So yeah, you know, if you're not feeling it, then I need to be playing different songs. But that's the way I think about music. Some people, I mean, you know, it doesn't make anything I say, and it may sound politically correct, but actually, I just think it's a good way to think. Is I'm not trying to make anyone think how I want them to think. I mean,
right.
We all have choices, and people that dig what I do dig it. And as I go along, you know, it's not really diminishing in the different types of people that like my stuff, you know. And I'm finding younger people are getting into it and discovering it, I guess. And when you were talking about the steel guitar and all that, you know, I guess that makes me feel good, because, you know, I was a steel player, and so when I make these albums, the instrumentation that goes down are usually the songs that I loved growing up, you know, and hearing Buck Owens or hearing Merle Haggard, and steel guitar is such a strong instrument, period.
Yep.
And what we call country music, even Hank Williams Sr., you know, back when, I think it wasn't a pedal steel, but it was that Hawaiian guitar, and that was strings, and it gave it a certain, I don't know, it just fit, you know, it's right. Those crying steels, and that's another adjective that people, what do you mean crying steel? I mean, it's something you can feel, and you'll say, okay, now I know what you mean by that. But it just pulls at you, that instrument. And
yeah, it's like even without the lyrics, you still
exactly.
feel depressed, you know?
Exactly. And I put that strongly in a lot of my songs, you know, and because it's like a marriage of lyrics and melody is what a song is, and certain songs yielded themselves so much to steel guitar, because for me that's what real country songs are. And even the way the steel is played, it can be played like I don't know, I mean, there's a difference in steel, in how that sounds on a record too. A steel can sound like another instrument, but you know, you take a Lloyd Green or Jimmy Day, or I don't know, guys that made records years ago, John Huey that played with Vince Gill, but before that he played with Hello Darling, I can't think of Conway Twitty. But just they had a way of playing those pedals and knee levers and all that made the steel just just
right.
become a huge part of the song. Sometimes I'd go back to a song and I'd keep listening to the steel line, you know, and go back. And that's another thing too that I think is a wonderful thing to do, and it's like one of the ingredients in songs I do. I think is I want solos to be remembered. Like when we were growing up and you heard a song, and I remember singing the solos, or just when it came to the solo part, you know, you hum that too, you know, and because they themselves are also, it's not just something you feel in time, you know, it's also got a beginning and a middle and an end to it. That thought was put into it, and it fits right. And I just think, and as I'm talking, it sounds like, man, you're all about the music, and it's in your head, and it's all you think about. Absolutely, it is.
Well, that's the way it should be. I mean, it's your job first of all, but it's also your passion, you know.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what I think about. You know, there's no you're not welcome in. You don't get in. You don't get to be in country music. You don't get to make music. But I do think, you know, like in pro sports, you know, if you're 4'11" and you know run a 8 flat 40, you're not going to get into the NFL.
Right.
You know, but I think in some cases, and you know, that's why when we watch football or baseball, we see the very best of the best. That's called professional. And I think music, there's in some ways everybody gets to do it, and I've even seen people that, you know, and these are all opinions that don't maybe seem to it be their passion or even, and they reach great heights, you know, and have great careers and make tons of money, and I wouldn't go in free to watch somebody, you know, just because. And again, music's for everybody, and I guess in the eye of the beholder, you know, the beauty of it or whatever. But that's all gets into. Now I'm starting to sound like an old man, like all these kids. They don't know what they're doing.
Speaking of old man, 2017 is actually your 30th year in the business. I don't know if you knew that.
Wow.
But
no. I guess if you're thinking, what is that, 1987?
Yeah, 1987.
Yeah, that's cool because people don't realize, you know, that was when I actually stepped off and jumped off the grid, I guess, and went full time into music. So I've been playing music, you know, my whole life and just playing around and had little bands and stuff. But when I really jumped out and did it was that time. And so I've been at it in my whole life, really. I mean, my parents, growing up in the church and all, my parents, and they all played instruments, you know, and played them well. And so, you know, it was an amazing thing, and lucky to come home and your entertainment was sit around and hear my uncle and my dad and my mom playing and singing harmony, and that was in the living room. We didn't need TV, or we had them. I don't sound like it was before that. You know, I'm not that old, but that was just amazing, and I feel fortunate to be able to play an instrument too, because I remember growing up spending so much time doing that. I don't really know much about getting into trouble, because I think I look forward to getting home and playing my guitar, and I went out, you know, so much. So I don't know, it's a very personal thing, and my dad and I had a great relationship just by playing guitars with each other. Not because we wouldn't even say a word, we just played, and that was how we spoke to each other. You know, just a wonderful thing. You know, music and always will be, and I'm grateful for
Let
it.
me ask you this. I know you left for Nashville around 91, and your first record wasn't really released until 96. So, I mean, you had like a 5-year period there where you were doing other stuff and, you know, playing with Martina and Tracy Lawrence and folks like that. But that brings me to a song you released in 2003 called Things Are Fixing to Get Real Good, which is kind of, you know, I guess you wrote that song about your time in Nashville.
Yes.
So were you disheartened by Nashville even back then?
You know, I'll put it this way. You know, I mean, the way I got wherever I went in music was, you know, I grew up, you know, and learned to play and got in some bands, and after college, you know, I really got back. I got on the road, you know, in the 80s and 90s, and we were playing all these clubs and played cover songs. But we, you know, even then, I was like, we're not going to play all these cover songs. We're going to play the cover songs that fit us, and we're going to have a sound that doesn't matter to me. And anyway, went along, and then I opened up for. I've been doing this, so it's kind of like a professional does something over and over and over and over and over again for many years, and that's what makes you good at it. And we did this, and we opened up for Dean Dillon, and I was, at this time, I started writing songs, and he heard about, you know, I did about 5 of my songs, and he just assumed, you know, they were my songs because he'd never heard them, and they weren't covers, and he liked them. And so when Dean Dillon, when the King says, I grant you, you know, I mean, I like that, come to Nashville, and then I went up to Nashville. And when I'm there visiting him, I get a job there, playing up there in a hotel, because someone heard me playing, sitting in his office and playing a guitar.
Wow.
So it wasn't like, you know, it's truly just like being pulled through it, you know. And then I get up there, and then once I'm in Nashville, I'm playing, you know, every night up at the hotel, and I'd go out and just hang out and meet people, and there were shows all the time, and I was hungry and I'm friendly, and I just love people, and that was a good recipe for getting to know people quickly and stuff, and people invited me over to things and all that. So I met a guy that was part of John McBride, his sound company, and big to do thing, and a production company, and they said that Martina McBride was a new artist that was coming out, and it'd be great if you auditioned for her if you'd like to. And so they gave me I guess it was a tape of 4 songs, and I learned them and went into the audition. And of course, this was speeding past a lot of, you know, 6 days of people auditioning, so there's probably hundreds of guitar players that audition.
Wow.
And I go in and do my thing, and I wait another week and hear that I got the job. And then did that for 2 years, and we opened up for Garth Brooks, and we're in arenas all over the country. And then I got a writing deal, and then I got off the road for about 9 months, and then I went out with Tracy Lawrence. And but all this stuff was just you know, learning the road and learning the things that just naturally go on with the music business.
A lot of people would say that's a pretty successful start, but I imagine as an artist, you were probably still wanting to kind of make it happen for yourself too, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was doing all those things, but in the back of my mind, and the artists that I played with, even, they were really key in getting my record deal, because they would talk to their people and want them to come listen to me, because they knew when we were on the buses and we're going down the road, they wanted to hear me play some song on the road, you know, or whatever. And everybody in Nashville was all had, you know, a dream of theirs, whether they want to play bass guitar and tour on the road forever with an artist, or they wanted to get in the studio eventually, or they wanted to write songs and be a songwriter. But, you know, you break in a certain way, and luckily I could play instruments and sing harmony and do all that, because that was my road in a way, was playing with other people and getting to know people at record labels and all this stuff, and the promotion people and all this stuff. That just kind of, by the time I got a record deal, I knew everybody in Nashville, because I was playing with different artists. And even as I was playing with Tracy Lawrence, we still played with Clint Black, and we played with Winona Judd, or, you know, so you meet all their people and their record label reps, and it's just one big family.
It's like networking before social media, right?
Right, exactly. But I'll say all that, was that when I actually signed it, and all that was fun. All that was fun, man. I mean, it was just kids in a candy store touring and playing and meeting all these people and signing the record deal. It was a big deal, and I was excited about it because I was going to make my music, and I was signed by a man that I very much respected, which is Paul Worley, who produced Martina's records and How We Went Online and several bands, and he was a guitar player, a musician himself, so he really got me and understood me, and that's why he signed me, and he sort of took me under his wing because there was another part of the record label that didn't, they weren't necessarily musicians, and they were signing different kind of people.
Right.
So I was a real, only person, one of the only one or two or three on the whole label that were songwriters, real strong songwriters, and I was older too. I was 32 and not 22. And so this guy was grooming me to or just had my back, at the label.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, not just for the label, but out of the whole town of Nashville, I'd say at that time, I mean, the stuff you were releasing was completely different than what was coming out of Nashville at the time as well. So
exactly, and it was important to know that because I had a guy there that had, was letting that happen, there was no problems. I mean, it's like a lot of people say I was at the record label and they changed me. Well, Paul wasn't trying to change me. He knew it. He's like, this guy's ready right now. We just turn it loose.
Yeah.
And we got the record, and then he got asked to go to he was brilliant, producer, everything. So he got asked to go to another record label where he could run the label and be the head of that label instead of being like a three-headed monster, which I think at the time Sony had basically three executives that ran the label. So they were kind of like not a one-person run thing. So he left and went to Warner Brothers, I think, and created a whole bunch of great music there. And it'd been great, of course, if I could have left and gone with him. And coach gets fired, and he takes the quarterback with him.
Right.
It changes the nuances and dynamics of everything. So when he left, this is the best way to tell the story of it all, is that's when everything fell apart for me, because everyone was coming at me like, okay, now I've got this record made, and they were like, let's take these songs off and add these songs. They were trying to take the record apart. And they're trying to take me apart. Like, okay, you're not going to wear that. You're not going to. And then all.
Did they not know that you were from Texas?
Yeah. Actually, actually, what's funny is they didn't like that too much too. But Texans in Nashville, it's like anywhere. We were real loud. We like talking about we're from Texas.
Yep.
And I can see how they were tired of hearing that theory, But yeah, I think they were trying to, that they just, it's just that they didn't get it. So they wanted to put their brand on me, which was more of, like say, getting a young 22-year-old to come in there, and those guys just want to do anything to be famous. So I'll change my hair color or wear a hat or do whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that or this. I'm not doing that. This is the way I wear it. This is the way I walk and talk. So it created all this just friction, and that's not fun. So my experience with that first record label with Sony, my first 3 albums was really not fun for me. And the albums, luckily, we made. I made 3 albums. I made 2 albums, and I got really sick, and then came back, made the 3rd album. But it was all uphill, and it wasn't easy. And the thing is, the media and radio loved what I was putting out, but it was a fight for it to happen, and they didn't realize. And they would like, man, we love this music, and I was playing shows, and I was touring with Charlie Daniels, and everything was going on great as far as that went. And my label was like the one, they were the ones that were, well, we don't like what he's doing.
Yeah, like the people that are supposed to be in your corner are the ones that aren't. Yeah.
And the main thing was that it was selling, and they were like, they'd stop the train just because it wasn't their idea, or they didn't have their hand in it. And so that's whenever I put out the song Sundown, now the cover, I recorded that, and it wasn't on my 2nd album where it was supposed to be, but they didn't want it on there because they for some reason didn't want any covers on their artist that year, so they took the song off. But it went on. There was an advance to radio, and it went to radio, and radio just started playing it. I mean,
Right.
they loved it. They got it, just like they get in they get new songs, new albums from new artists, and they sit down together and listen to them, and they loved the version of that, and they play it. So it was getting played without any promotion, and it got to like 57 or something, and almost top 40, and getting enough noise to where the label was, rather than saying, "Oh wow, it's getting played, they like it, let's pump it up and put it on the record," and no, they said, "Let's kill it. Let's send out cease and desist orders, and they can't play the song." Because that's when I went, you know what, you guys don't want to sell records with me.
Right.
That's what you're trying to
Well, I
say.
can tell you straight up, I'm stoked that you came back to Texas.
Well, it's just the right, way everything was supposed to happen, and that there was no Texas thing happening in 1996, right? I never left.
Yeah.
But it's just, the way it flowed. Anyway, you were talking about things are fixing. Yes, but there were some great times, and I met some great people, even in the midst of some things that seemed to be hard. But that was life, and that's my life lessons, and I think they were to teach me how to deal with some things I didn't know that were coming that were going to be really tough.
Very
So
cool.
I look at everything as not a mistake, and everything's, something for future something, and that's my attitude. Or otherwise, I'd be bitter and angry all the time. and being a musician, that's not what I want to do. So yeah, things are fixing. That's why it's one of the greatest. When people say, "What's your favorite song?" I'd probably say that because of the bridge of what it meant from being in Nashville and all those things and all the wonderful things, but some of the tough things. And then my point was that my attitude is going to stay right, and that, all this stuff happened, but things are still going to get real good. We're still looking up. We're still having hope. That's what that song was really saying, rather than bashing something, And,
well, I definitely wanted to fast forward a bit. You got a lot going on here in 2017. But before we get there, I want to talk just briefly about the album "Random as I Am." Probably one of the best Texas-based albums in the history of music, in my opinion. I don't know where you came up with all this stuff, man, but that album is pure genius.
Wow, man! I wish more people were like you, dude. I mean, it's just such a treat to hear people. I mean, I'm not saying because you're saying it's genius, but I always, I don't know, I thought that what I do and what I've done is, and it's not about competing, and that's another thing that enters to the music stuff, and I recognize in Nashville about it was competition, and you're competing against labels and other artists and all this, and I'm like, I'm being that way. Now, this is for everybody.
Right.
But when you start making it that way, then it becomes all about that. And what's, my thing is the people are the ones that are getting the product, and we're ruining their experience of music in their lives, because when you start competing, then you start really strategizing about songs, about why they're written or how they're written, and do they have, and you start making science out of it, and people are sitting in cubicles and coming up with songs that scientifically the ear likes to listen to, and all this jazz, instead of just doing it from your heart and soul. And but that's the thing about people, and what's wonderful is that, they'll get their fill of that, and then they'll go somewhere else to where they can find where is it really in. And that's a good way to say it. It's kind of like when it's things recalibrate, the world, the earth, when we think we're messing it up, it'll fix itself. And I think that when Texas music was a natural progression of what Nashville was doing and the music they were putting out, by the time, late 90s, I think it got so bad that, or, bad, that's an opinion word, but it got to where people weren't wanting to, it wasn't country to them. It wasn't what they liked.
Right.
It became something so different that they turned inward. And in Texas, they turn to their guys who are at, at the colleges and playing the big honky tonks down the street, Pat Green and Roger Creager, because they were singing the music that they were singing about their lives. It's something they could relate to.
That's definitely what this album is. I mean, it's a country album. And it's just a perfect mixture of everything, man. I mean, you've got the honky tonk stuff in there, but
man,
I love that song. Anybody Out There? Geez, what a great song! Just reaches into your soul and makes you want to jump off a bridge.
Right. Well, and back to saying that, but yes, I appreciate that so much because, I don't know, I don't finish the song, and I'm my worst critic. I don't finish writing a song and go, oh my gosh, this song's going to change the world, or this song, it's so great. I can feel when I'm crying when I wrote a song, or I'm listening to it back, and I'm it's moving me that way. First of all, I believe I'm a real big God guy, so I believe God gave me this gift to do what I do for a reason, and I believe that He gives me. Because, usually some of these songs like this, middle of the night, I get up out of bed and I have to write it. It's in my head. I was like, oh, man, I get it. And something's coming to me. And get your pen out and just write it. And then when I finish it, I was like, wow. I mean, that to me just, wow. I've written enough songs to know that feels right. And it says something very strong and it comes together right. And because because I look at me and I go, man, you're not that smart to do this, and that's the thing. I think it comes from somewhere higher that it's just channeling through me because I'm a good receiver because I want those things to happen.
And that's the other song on the album that really reached me is "Who Am I," which is kind of what you're talking about right now in a song.
Yes, and this album, was talking about that was, even the title, I think it was a time when I was like, the production, there were some songs where it was just me and a guitar and maybe a bass, or, it wasn't just a complete album of all full 8 instruments on each song kind of thing.
Right.
It was broke down in some places, and there were some that were, like a song to God or a gospel, if you want to call it, and then sort of a poppy sounding thing like Fall In. I don't know what category people put that in, but they're random, and I'm as random as I am. I just thought that whole thing, the whole concept of it all it's the kind of thing that I, like get a record or buy a record from someone, and it just all worked. The title of the album, the songs that are on the album, and the thought that went into it, and I'm not sure if people do much of that anymore because people don't necessarily buy albums; they buy songs. One song, this, that. But
I'm not that guy, that's for sure.
Right. Right. Well, there was that one thing I wanted to do with if I never did another album like that. In a way, saying that these songs are random would keep the critics from saying, well, he's just all over the place. I'm like, that's the title. That's the album.
Exactly.
I'm a fan of all kinds of music and stuff. As long as it has a common thread, and it's still me. And and there's what was that song, "Coming Home to You"? I mean, that's one of my favorite songs.
Yep.
I ever wrote as well. It talks about being on the road and trying to get home, and because we're real people, and I love playing music, but that's someone you love and you want to get home. And
I just really wanted to mention that album, and I'm gonna put a link to to purchase that album in the description below. So you guys, if you're listening out there, click on that link. You won't be sorry about that. That's for sure. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, not at all. No, I appreciate that, and it's one of my favorites. I think it seems like a lot of people say. I mean, that they all have their favorites, but that's been. I've heard more voices say that's their favorite than not. So it was a kind of not a stream of consciousness. I won't say that. It sounds all weird, but it was a little bit more of a. I just wanted to make it just how I felt that day. And
well, I'm hoping to catch you down the road somewhere so I can get me a copy of that signed.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Be glad to do that for you.
So we are to 2017. If you're just tuning in, we have Deryl Dodd on the phone. This is episode number, I don't even know what number we're on now. I think 208 or something like that. So episode 208 of the ETX Rock Show. Again, Deryl, I definitely want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. I've been dropping hints at you for probably a year on social media.
Right. And that's the thing. I'm talking on a flip phone right now, my friend. I'm not anti.
You still have the flip phone?
Yes, I do. Still doing the flip. I'm not anti-technology by no means, but there's some things about me that what it does, it keeps me. It keeps me.
Keeps you grounded.
Grounded, who I am. By having a phone like this, I still have to call people and say, now, how do I get to your house? I'm down here at the Texaco. Do I turn right here? As opposed to everything being done for me. I don't know. I think there's something that we miss out on. And
yeah, that disconnection.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. I don't want to get too.
I didn't even know they sold flip phones still, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah, I probably stay out of some things. And one part of the thing is I'm so ADD. I'm so my mind, how I think, and neurotic and all this, that I don't need devices that will make me dig any deeper or slice and dice and think more than I already do. So I think that's part of it too. And it works out. I get from A to B.
All right, so I want to talk about the brand new album. What a great album this is as well. It's called Long Hard Ride, released earlier this year. And this is Deryl Dodd with a bunch of your most popular songs from the past. And you've got, a bunch of guest artists on the record, and I'm just going to list them all for folks out there in case they're hearing about it for the first time. You've got Cody Jinks, Wade Bowen, William Clark Green, Randy Rogers, Stoney LaRue, Matt Hillyer, Radney Foster, Roger Creager, Kevin Fowler, Bonnie Bishop, Larry Joe Taylor, David Perez, and Cody Johnson. Oh, and Pat Green. So quite the list of guest stars on this album. And it's just I love the idea or the concept of a reimagined record of some of your well-known songs, especially when you're inviting all of these, really well-known Texas artists on there as well. So how did you decide which songs would make the record? And also, how did you decide which artists would appear on each song?
Well, again, another, I guess, natural progression in my career was just that as I'm going through, when I say the career, I just say, well, I'm just going through my life, but music, from Nashville, from being in Texas to going to Nashville and coming back to Texas, you meet a lot of people. And, the music got out there and people heard it. And when I came back to Texas, there was a whole lot of people artists and things that I met. And, we went on the road together and did shows together because they were like, they saw me as something like, man, you were up there keeping it real, and there was a very anti-Nashville, a big anti-Nashville movement, or, people were screaming that from down here and wearing T-shirts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And they accepted me in, yeah, I'd been to Nashville and did all that, but I was doing it in a way that for me, I was like, this, I'm keeping it real at least, and that's why they're sort of running me off. And luckily, there was a place to land, and it was Texas, which was great because that's where I'm from. And I come here and realize all these people are artists and they're making records, and there's a whole movement here, and so I meeting Randy Rogers and Roger and Creager and Kevin Fowler, and they were arms open, like, hey man, yeah, we don't like what Nashville's doing, but we loved what you were doing, and that's huge, man. And so that's how I met a lot of these guys, just randomly, or different, playing clubs, or Steamboat, late night, somebody's room, and we're got 5 guitars and we're passing them around, and everybody's singing and playing, and somebody sings one of your songs, Cody Johnson, by the way. I was sitting there, and he just when it was his turn to go or whatever, he just started singing One Ride in Vegas. And, you know, for me, it just melts my heart, makes me emotional to have somebody that knows every word of your song, and not only that, but killed it, you know, when he did it, because he's an amazing artist, songwriter, singer. So he, sorry, I'm trying to get out of this road real quick. You might have heard me turn my vehicle on.
It's all good.
Here we go. So I was 20 years, 2016 would have been, I guess, 20 years since I made my first album, and it didn't brought to my attention. And I first thought I'd been wanting to re-record, you know, like a lot of those early songs from Sony, like Memphis and Pearl Snaps and Bitter End, because I had no control over those songs. They were Sony, you know, other record labels, and you can re-record anything after 7 years of recording it. That's the way I believe that still works. So I've been wanting to do that, and I thought, well, I'm going to make a best of, kind of Deryl Dodd best of, you know, 20 years of Deryl Dodd. We were all doing all this, and it wasn't, you know, maybe 15 minutes in the thought of that and starting to think which songs, you know. And I, you know, like I say, I'm instinctive, and I do a lot of thinking, and I kind of know what people, because I've played a lot of places and I've heard people request what they request, or you can look on your sales sometimes and see what keeps getting bought, what one song or what 14 songs keep getting bought. So there was that kind of gave me a little bit of what songs to pick. And then as far as the people that, and of course the songs that meant the most to me, I think, and for a lot of reasons. And then as far as thinking of who was going to do this or that, it was real kind of a natural thing too, was some random thing, calling them up. These were my friends, and I know that this artist has this connection with this song, this artist has a connection with this song of mine. And so I really just went down and called, and I didn't want to say down a list like I wrote it all down, but I just called these people. I saw them at a show we were playing together. I said, you know, I know I'm playing with Roger in 2 weeks, and I'll ask him, hey, man, do you want to come sing on She'll Have You Back? You know, because when we toured together, he'd come out and sing the song. You know? And Randy Rogers, we were doing a thing at Billy Bob's, and Randy Rogers started singing Bitter End. And it was sometimes even, for me, it was, sometimes it was even, kind of blew my mind that, what? Are you kidding me? I didn't know that I knew they obviously knew some of these songs, but know them enough to where they were singing them, you know. So when I thought,
that's when you find out the effect you have on people, right there.
Well, that's huge. You know, that's like I say, that's the reward. I mean, it really is. I mean, that's impacting people. That's huge. I mean, to feel like you've done that, that's really doing something. And as far as what matters to me and how I'm made or wired, you know, or how I'm a real sentimental, sensitive, you know, spiritual guy. I'm like, wow, I've done it. You know, for someone to say I've made it, you know, that can mean a whole lot of things. One Night in Vegas, speaking of that song is what it says. It's not about, you know, making it, you know, meaning I made the ride in 8 seconds. I won world, you know, champion, or I got a ACM award or a Grammy saying I'm the best of ever. All this song was the best of this year or 10 years. It's all the stuff getting to the point of being, you know, at your knowing that you've got what you do is accepted and respected by people.
Right.
So in that category, I feel like I've done what I set out to do, you know. So the album, it's just it's amazing. I mean, I still can't believe it happened, because in the process, people were like, you should have had cameras in there and documented the whole thing, and had, you know. And I'm like, that's the thing. I don't think in those ways, because that's promotion, and that's you know, that it has to stay real with me, and I say I'm real to a fault, you know.
Yeah.
I just, you know, it's gonna get out there, and people are gonna dig it or they're not, you know, that's probably not very good.
Well, it is a great album. I know that, a lot of folks want to do a best of or a greatest hits, and I mean, you just went so much further than that.
Wow.
This is just a great album. Just to hear Bonnie Bishop on Who Am I is just, geez, man, what a great cut.
Yeah, she's mentioning that one. I'm not kidding. That's when people talk about the songs on this album, that's what they say is their favorite, and I know why. That's what the song says, and of course Bonnie's voice on there, and it's spiritual and it moves people, and and I will say, not to skip off this album, when you mention the song "Anybody Out There," which is a song really about kind of like depression and mental illness.
Who hasn't felt that song at one time or another in their life, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, I go through those things all the time. I mean, I'm somebody that's like never gonna be rid of depression. It's just it's part of how I'm made, but we learn skills and you learn how to deal with what is going on. But there was a man that came up to me and said that he was never able to articulate what he feels and how he feels inside to his family.
Right.
And he said until he heard that song, he just said, "Hey, I want y'all to listen to this, and this is what I feel."
Yep.
And wow, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
what a huge compliment.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, but then again, as I'm saying this, I'm like, what I do is I'll go, thank God, thank you God, because God gave me that song, and if that helped you, then I was used. That's where I feel blessed, is that I got to be used to do that.
Yeah, you're just a conduit.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a whole different way of thinking, and that's not, not everybody has to think this way. It's not the best way or it's most special. It's just how I am and how I want to be. But because I sure wouldn't want to go after he said that, like, yeah, man, I'm pretty damn good, aren't I?
All right, man. I appreciate you talking with us. We play a game on this show with damn near every guest we talk to, and we're starting a new game for season 3. It's called 9 Words with ETX Rocks, and this is just a word association game. What I'm going to do is give you.
I'm sorry, it broke up when you said 9 for each, or what was it?
It's called 9 Words with ETX Rocks. And
9 words with ETX Rocks.
Yeah, it's a word association game. I'm just going to give you a word or a combination of words or a short phrase, and you tell me in one sentence what that means to you.
Okay.
All right. So number 1, Nashville.
Wow.
Trying to be nice.
Almost country music.
Okay. Number 2, country music.
Common man's music.
All right. Number 3, Cody Jinks.
Real deal.
All right. Number 4, Larry Joe Taylor.
Genius.
All right. Number 5, the Houston Astros.
Wow. Soul food for the people of Houston.
Awesome. All right. Number 6, Miley.
Say it again. Number 6.
Miley, like Miley Cyrus.
Oh, Miley. Interesting.
All right. Number 7, Legend.
What was that again? 7?
Legend. The word is legend.
Willie Nelson.
All right. Number 8, favorite female artist.
Jimmy Lou Harris.
And last one, go-to song.
Go-to song. Whoa. I'll say Free Falling, Tom Petty.
Oh, man, great choice. All right, so that was 9 words with ETX Rocks with the Texas legend Deryl Dodd. Thank you so much for your time today, man. Definitely, it's a huge privilege.
Hey, thank you very much. I enjoyed it, and I appreciate your, knowledge of my career, and that means a whole lot to me. People that really know what's went on, and it matters. So
no problem at all, man. All right, so you guys have been listening to the ETX Rock Show, episode number 207 with Deryl Dodd. And as promised earlier in this episode, we're going to bring to you yet another awesome performance acoustically from Deryl Dodd. Guys, this song right here is a cover song. You might know it from David Allan Coe, who made it famous. It's called The Ride. Here it is, guys. Deryl Dodd performing The Ride.
Hey, this is Deryl Dodd, and I'd like to play a song for you that I recorded on my latest album. The album's called Long Hard Ride. It's like a greatest hits album, and it features 13 or 14 of my friends, other artists that are singing like duets with me on each song. And I'm just so proud of it and so glad it came to be. And this is sort of the theme of the album. It's an old David Allan Coe song that I grew up listening to called The Ride. I was thumbing from Montgomery, had my guitar on my back, when a stranger stopped beside me in an antique Cadillac. Well, he was dressed like 1950, half drunk and hollow-eyed. Said, "It's a long walk to Nashville, would you like a ride, son?" So I sat down in the front seat. He turned on the radio. Them sad old songs coming out of them speakers was solid country gold. Then I noticed the stranger was ghost white pale when he asked me for a light. And I knew there was something strange about this ride. He said, "Drifter, can you make folks cry when you play and sing? Have you paid your dues? Can you moan the blues? Bend them guitar strings. Boy, can you make folks feel what you feel inside? As if you're big star bound, let me warn you, it's a long, hard ride." Then he cried just south of Nashville. He turned the car around. He said, "This is where you get off, boy, 'cause I'm going back to Alabama." So I stepped out that Cadillac. I said, "Hey, mister, many thanks." He said, "You don't have to call me mister, mister. The whole world calls me Hank. Drifter, can you make folks cry when you play and sing? Have you paid your dues? Can you move on the blues? Bend them guitar strings. Boy, can you make folks feel what you feel inside? As if you're big star bound, let me warn you, it's a long, hard ride." He said, "Drifter, can you make folks cry when you play and sing? Have you paid your dues? Can you moan the blues? Bend them guitar strings. Boy, can you make folks feel what you feel inside? As if you're big star bound, let me warn you, it's a long, hard ride. If you're big star bound, let me warn you, it's a long, hard ride."
One last thing I did want to talk about is this huge Texas Red Dirt Choir thing going on. Faith in the Water. I did not want to miss out on this because I know you guys are trying to raise money for Hurricane Harvey survivors. So tell me a bit about this project. I'm going to link it in the description below as well to try to help raise some money for y'all. But tell us how this came about a little bit.
Basically, Roger Creager called me and said, "Hey, man, me and Kyle Hutton wrote this song, and man, it's really a cool thing that just came out of nowhere." And they wrote it there. They live in Houston, and know, firsthand what happened and what was going on and how people were suffering, and they wrote, the Song of Hope about the situation, and then they, decided to get other artists involved with it, to make it, more widespread and all that. So they had the idea, and they found a studio down in Austin at Ray Benson's studio down there, and asked on this one day for, I don't know who all they called. I just know Roger called me and he said, yeah, so-and-so's going to be there and Kevin's going to be there and Wade, and, we're trying to get as many as we can. I think they, put out, I don't know how many people they tried to get, but only 29 or 30.
Like an all-star team, man.
Yeah, yes. Like a 29 or 30. It was a time thing, it was like, if people were touring or people were out or couldn't be there, whoever was there. And then we sang, we learned the song, and they were filming. As soon as we walked in, they were filming. And I realized as the process was going on during the day, wow, this is a big deal, man. I mean, this is a great song. And there were people singing. A choir was in the studio as we were in there finishing up singing the chorus along with Roger, and I loved it. And then we heard the whole thing, and it was cool to reconnect with Susan Gibson and some people, or the artists that we don't get to see each other all the time.
Right.
So there was all good energy going on, and then we different people, they had us go in and sing like one line of a verse, or and they filmed while you're doing it. And then we all went into the main room and sang the chorus about 20 times, and they filmed us doing that. So, and I knew, of course, know that they're going to put all this stuff together to be a video and to be the song and everything, and promote it and everything. And, I didn't, like I say, it's one of those things. I went and did it, and then I realized in my heart that this is really a big deal and really going to be special, and I hope it does the good that it sets out to do. And then it started trickling out, and of course the people that know that we were a part of it would give us information, say, hey, on this Friday, can you put this on your social media, and here's a link, and this to the song, and more things coming, so we're just letting stuff roll out as they're giving it to us, but it looks good, it's one of those things. It was just, it was right.
Very good stuff.
And it was inspired, and all that.
And 100% of the proceeds to that song are going to Hurricane Harvey relief. Again, yes. we're gonna link that in the description below. All right, guys. So again, I want to thank everybody out there for tuning in to episode number 208. This has been a real treat for me. Like I said earlier in the episode, Deryl Dodd is the reason that I started liking country music. And a lot of my friends would tell you that I'm one of the biggest encyclopedias about country music knowledge. So everybody out there can thank Deryl Dodd for that, and I definitely thank him as well. It's been just a huge treat to talk to you today, Deryl.
Thank you, my friend.
If you guys are just hearing about Deryl Dodd, I don't know how that could possibly be possible, but you can follow along with him on social media. It's Deryl Dodd on Facebook. It's also Deryl Dodd on Instagram, and it's Deryl_Dodd on Twitter. You can also go to his webpage, which is www.DerylDodd.com. Very cool website there. You can find all of his tour dates. His music is available there. Great biography stuff there for him and his band. It's got a discography and even lyrics to some of his songs. It's just a really well put together website. I implore everybody to check that out, and we'll link that in the description below as well. If you're tuning into the ETX Rock Show for the first time, definitely want to thank you guys for that. You can follow along with us at Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at ETX Rock. If you want to donate to the cause, we do accept donations at www.paypal.me/ETXRocks. As we always say on this show, we want to thank everybody out there for supporting live music of all genres, all styles, and don't ever forget,
ETX rocks.
Howdy, folks. This is Aaron Watson.
This is Bree Bagwell.
This is Jake. And this is Walter from Rocky Queen.
This is Curtis Grimes.
Monty Pittman.
This is Doug Supernon.
I'm Heather Little.
This is Rob Redwan.
Ho! Hey,
Hey folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Hey guys, I'm Katie Lynn, and make sure to tune in to ETX Rocks with
Boston Chris.
Hello, y'all. This is Ronnie Millsap, and thanks for tuning in to the ETX Rocks show.
Tough guy, ho!
Hey guys, we're Blacktop Mojo, and thank you for tuning in to ETX Rocks.